Welcome for another week. National Championship Day today. Me and Mike did half the podcast before the podcast.
Yeah, we were talking a long time. So, and we'll get to that in a second as far as talking about the promotions and all that stuff. And just so everybody knows, this is being recorded, around 1 o'clock before the national title game. So you're going to see a lot of people see this on Tuesday and Wednesday. We don't know who's going to win. We're going to talk about who we think's going to win. We may look stupid if you watch this in retrospect because you don't know what's going to happen tonight in the game. But yeah, the promo, I mean, once we get talking about it, this is the other thing too, is like once we get talking about it, we just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Um, and I'm getting DMs, from clients, Brock Marshalik just sent in a video of his son Gavin, who's a 2026 quarterback for Pennsylvania, just pop out a retweet on that. I was talking to, who was it? I told you Carson Kruger, his stuff's secret, so we can't even talk about what he's got going
Right.
on. But he's got some exciting stuff going on. We got Ben Hartman going to Oregon State. Who's that guy? Zaire, where is
Oh,
he?
Daniel.
Zaire Daniel, yeah. So he's going to go PG. So he sent me some more workout videos. So I got to cut off some stuff of him. And he asked me, he said, hey, can you get me into one of these camps? And they said, Under Armour or Rivals or whatever. And I said, you're a PG. They won't let you in. First of all, there's no PG camps that I know of. All these camps are high school football camps. So they're, sophomore, freshmen, sophomore, juniors heading into their senior year. And so we had a hard and fast rule, and so does Nike and UA and all that, that PGs, there's no place for you. And I said, but no, you don't need that. You don't need to. First of all, as PG, you're older than everybody else. So it's like not
Right.
really a fair playing ground. But
Right.
also, you don't need that. I said I'm not a big fan of those camps anymore, anyways. And I'm not talking about NUC camps. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the big time 4 and 5 star camps and the camps, where you just get the top kids there just because you want them there to interview. And most of them don't even work out and they just sit on the sidelines. And you feel obligated to give the highest ranked kid at a position the MVP, even if he didn't work out that well. I remember, I'm trying to think of an example. A really good. So the opposite of that is like Joe Mixon at one of our first Rivals camps. He was at one of our camps. I think it was LA, and that LA camp was on the same day as the Nike camp, and it was our first LA camp ever for Under Armour and Rivals. And we were competing with Nike to try to get kids, and some of the kids went there, and some of the kids came to us. And Joe Mixon was a 5 star player. He came to our camp, worked out at wide receiver and running back, and he was freaking awesome. And we gave him the MVP at wide receiver because that's what he worked out at the most. But there were other highly ranked wide receivers. And this is nothing new to me, but we had some 7-on-7 guys out there in California that were really pissed that Joe Mixon won the MVP because they thought their kid should, to the point where physically I was the guy in charge, so I was the one getting they threatened me. Yeah. And these are
And by
guys,
the way, it's a recurring theme that you getting
these are
threatened.
guys from Compton, man. I mean, this is Compton, Venice Beach. I mean, these are badass dudes want to kick my ass. I remember one of them was like 420 pounds, big fat dude, white t-shirt. I forget what his nickname was, Java or something like that. And he couldn't come close to catching me if he wanted to, but they had to hold him back because he didn't
Really?
win MVP. And Mixon earned it. So this wasn't a
Right.
political
Right.
thing like, oh, Joe Mixon, you're not going to Nike, you're coming to
Right.
us. We
Right.
owe you
Right.
this MVP. But there's a lot of politics involved in there. And it's really not, those 5 and 4 star camps aren't about evaluating the best players and finding a spot for a Zaire Daniel who nobody knows about. So I said to him, I said, listen, let's see what happens. We still got some promos that you're doing for with us. Let's see what happens. And then, as you're a PG, we'll continue the promo because we don't have a rule. You can be a promo or JUCO, I mean PG or JUCO, and we'll still do the promotion plan with you. You can be a high school player, you can be a transfer portal player.
Yeah.
I said, this is the way to success, not getting into one of those camps.
Absolutely. Look, it's had a huge impact on the players. The Bryce Enlows of the world are picking up offers. I think of him because I think of their family as a whole has tried to turn over every stone they can So I say like kudos that they utilize our promos. They have some other programs they're working with. They are putting, and it's worked. Look, he's got Bryant College offer. He's got Merrimack, which is Merrimack an FCS going FBS. I was confused about what Merrimack.
No, I think they're FCS. I don't think they're going FBS. I
Oh,
think
okay,
they're FCS. That's
they're FCS.
their hockey is Division One.
Their hockey is.
That's a
I
really
was confused as to what.
really
Yeah,
small school though. But yeah, it's got Bryant, Merrimack, and Pace, and he
Pace.
had nothing a month ago. And as you were about to say, I'm sure there was a little bit of panic, on their part. And it's like there's no panic on our part. We've been here, done this. I'm not confident that every kid's going to get an offer, but
Right,
we continue to tell you, stay the course. Same with Hartman, stay the course, stay the course. We're going to keep promoting you. Carter Lynch, the transfer from Cal, a little frustrated, you know, the portal, all these kids committing, and he gets a little nervous. Like there's so many commit. Stay the course, stay the course. It's consistency that does it. And I think for Kruger, for Hartman, for Enlow, for a lot of these kids, the consistency does it. It's not one-time promotion. Oh my God, who's this kid? I gotta have him. It's I'm familiar with this kid. I'm more familiar with this kid. I understand what this kid, and this kid is also really, really dedicated to becoming a great football player because he's investing in this product and he's not going to go away. I honestly think if Enlo had nothing, I think his mom would have paid for 6 more months of promotion because she wants him to succeed that much.
right.
And it's not necessary now because he stayed the course. But had he done nothing, I don't think he would have got anything.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been Division III player, and the thing is, the ability was there, but it's, he plays at a school that has a lot of Division I players, right? So what happens is, I say this all the time: when you're at a school that has a lot of Division I players, sometimes it could be hard if you're like a borderline guy because they kind of barnstorm at all the Division I guys, and then you might be a borderline guy that could play at that level or close to that level, like an FCS. But what happens is the coach's time, not his fault. The guy's a great coach, does a great job. Your time gets, pulled. You're only one human being, a staff of, how far can you go as a high school coach? So what happens is this one kid who has 20 offers, all these coaches are calling you, right? They're calling you, I want this guy. And he has like a bunch of guys, right? And then all of a sudden, like, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. We got to get this kid recruited, right? Like, and it's a tough job. So that's where we begin to fill the gaps in. We're not replacing anybody. We're adding to this process where someone may not be able to fill it. That's what this promo does in a very unique way by the two most prominent people in recruiting, bar none, there are. Like, anyone can say whatever they want. I mean, they could put whatever they want on their Twitters. I mean, it's not that they're not good. It's that we've put in time that cannot be replicated. And that's equity with not just our marketplace, but the coaches, by doing it over and over again and being able to be correct on the features of an athlete, right? We're not saying you should offer this kid. We're saying these are the features of this player that you should be taking a look at. This is what he does well. This is what we like. And a lot of times guys will look at it and say, yeah, I'm in agreement. They don't want someone going and saying, take my kid. That turns them off. They want to be able to make that decision themselves. You can influence, but they want to be able to make that decision, say, you know what? I'm taking all this information in, and this is why I'm offering him. And you know what? It was great that Mike and Dave gave us some good info on this kid that I might not have thought about before.
Right. And I also think there's and not everybody can afford promotions. So it's
Right.
not like, it's not like shaming anybody who can't afford
Right, of
promotion, but
course.
there's a hunger aspect to it. Um, if a kid is hungry enough to, like you said, the endless, it's not just us. They're trying everything they can. And there's a hunger aspect to that a kid in a family like that are going to do whatever it can to reach their goal and make their dream happen and not just be satisfied once that happens. If he lands at Bryant as an FCS linebacker, he's going to play as hard as possible because
Yep.
he's that type of kid. And you can see that in the ability to promote. Now, the people who can't afford the promotion, their kids could be equally as hungry. But we're in a world where if you can afford it, it's a tremendous supplement to your efforts. And as you said, he's at the Hunt School. The Hunt School coaches fly in there like a billion times, but sometimes it's not good to be at a school in the middle of North Dakota or Idaho as an example, like McCray Moore.
Right,
McCray
right.
Moore, one of our transfer portal guys. Nobody's going to Idaho to recruit kids. Just not. That's bad, and that's when you need, you know, it's when you need the promotion because no one's going to come to your school. But when you're at a big school and the focus is on, the 10 Power Five kids that are at that school or have that potential, and you're going to get overlooked. There's not enough time for the coach or the coaches visiting to care about you. And sometimes that's necessary too. So it's always necessary. It can never hurt. I mean, geez,
It can't hurt.
to
There's no doubt.
me, it's we've had some kids with Power Five offers that have signed up for the promotion because
Right.
they want to see as many options that they could get. They may have 4 or 5 Power Five offers, but maybe with the promotion, they might get an offer that academically fits them better, geographically fits them better, football wise fits them better. Maybe it's a higher level of football that they wouldn't have been able to achieve there. And then you got the kids that have nothing and no offers whatsoever, who need the promotion, who might end up getting an FCS offer, and that's, their dream or a preferred walk-on Power Five offer or a Group of Five offer or whatever. And I have kids ask me all the time, I mean, can I get a Power Five offer with this promotion? And my answer to them is every time, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you yes or no because I don't know. Um, I'm going to say all we do is promote, and they're going to make their determinations. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call Ryan Day and say I think this kid's legit and you should take him. I don't know Ryan Day's recruiting board. I don't know his depth chart. I don't know who's transferring in, who's transferring out. I don't know anything about his targets. So who am I to say that you need a linebacker that's transferring in from a different
Right.
school? But I will put it out there, and Ryan Day will see it. Now, whether he cares or his staff, I mean, Ryan Day won't see it, but his staff will see it. Mark Antoni and those guys will see it. And if they see a kid, now Ohio State's a different story. Most of those kids don't need promotion that Ohio State's recruiting. But Ryan Day knows other people. Ryan Day went to school at UNH. Ryan Day
Right.
coached at Boston College. Ryan Day, was out on the West Coast, San Francisco in the NFL. Ryan Day knows a billion coaches, and he might have a buddy and a friend, from his days, like Mike Dawson used to be at Nebraska. He's not anymore, but Mike Dawson's a good example. He coached with Ryan Day at BC. They're in Nebraska. Nebraska might be looking for an O lineman. He might have talked to Mike Dawson, who needs an O lineman. Ryan Day sees this kid, or Pantoni sees this kid, and they don't need an offensive lineman. They got 5 stars lining up to play, but Nebraska might need one. And then he tells them about it. It's all word of mouth. So the promotion itself would get you the views, but the views lead to people talking about you and telling other people about you, and that's how it snowballs. And that's what the portal too.
Look what Andy Jaffe has picked up since we started the promo. He's at Bowling Green, Duke, Maryland, Pittsburgh, Toledo, USF, Wake Forest. I think he had one of those when we started. I think he may have had
Yeah, he
Toledo and
clarified too, and
he
he
may
was
have had
very
Toledo
his
and
dad
Wake. I
his
think
dad
he
was
had.
very. Yeah, because I remember I put in the first promo that he had a Duke offer, and his dad was nice enough to correct me that he didn't have a Duke offer. He had a Duke offer from the old staff, and then Elko took over and he didn't have an offer from the new staff. I believe that's accurate, but but these are people that listen, they understand what they want, what they need, and they're not going to lie about it either.
Yeah,
Because lying doesn't do you any good. Also, I mean, you could put out there, I had some kids saying, "Why are you retweeting transfer portal offers and you're charging me?" And the answer is because you don't have any offers. Well, what if I just made up an offer that I got one from Arkansas? Would you retweet that? I go, no, everybody knows everything. If you make up an offer, you lose all credibility whatsoever, and we're not even going to deal with you as a client because that's our credibility too. Everybody knows everything. You can't make stuff up. I mean, for years and years, kids have been making up offers, and when they do, I'll get a notification from the coach and say that, like Kansas, for example, a kid claims a Kansas offer, and I retweet it, I'll get a DM instantly from Lance Leopold and he'll say that we have an offer that kid. So then I'll change the retweet, and you know what? I'll do that kid. I'll freaking block him. I'm not dealing with this. You're gonna tag me and stuff, and I'm gonna believe you, and you're lying.
Yep.
You're done. So, that's the other thing too. You can promote all you want, but you got to be careful how you do it. Jaffe's doing it the right way. He
Yep.
had offers. Kid's school's paid for. He's a Division I FBS athlete, but he wanted more opportunities and different opportunities, and he's going to get those because of the promotion, which is great for him. So, it's I don't. It's not for everybody, but I will tell you this. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. I'm always going to tell you how much it costs. Um, I had a kid the other day said, why would you charge me for this? And I gave him the explanation, and this is the example I use to all these kids because I don't know anything about what kids buy these days, but I know that, when I go into a lids to look at hats, I got to pay for that hat. That's it. I can't just go in there and just take a hat.
Take a
They
hat,
have a
right.
business, you know. And honestly, Coach Manis made this point to me. He's like, and if you want to buy a Yankees hat, it's going to cost you $2 more than a Marlins hat because the Yankees are a bigger brand, and that's a bigger license for you know anybody who's manufacturing hats to get, and that's what we are. We're a bigger brand, so it's going to cost you. Now we're not expensive at all, but
No.
that's the thing. I asked them. I say, listen, and this is transfer kids too who are taking business classes. I go, dude, you go into Liz and you just take a hat and leave? He's like, no. Well, why would you come to me and say you want free promotion? Like, I gotta make money. I got bills to pay. I got problems. This is a business. If I'm going to put in my effort and my time, I'm going to promote you as a client. You're on board, man. I mean, we're still promoting kids who have found homes, right?
Yep.
I mean, I'm still going to do Enlo videos, whether he decides to go to Bryant or he goes Ivy or whatever. I'm still going to do them until he's found his home. But even after that, if I owe him promos, I'm going to do the promos. Um, we go above and beyond. That's the other thing too, is like I usually do 2 videos each month. I'll cut up 2 1-minute clips of a kid. It's never one. So even if it's a one timer, I'll do 2-minute clips, 2 1-minute clips, and put out two. And he's a one timer, he gets two. The 6-month kids get 12 to 15, and also they get retweets. I mean, Gavin Marshall just, DM me, said thanks for the retweet. He's like, I didn't tag you because I didn't want to upset you because it was a 24/7 camp. I couldn't care less. I don't care. You can tag me in Rivals 24/7 stuff, on three stuff. I don't give a crap. I don't care. Um, you know, I'll retweet you because you're a client, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's really no. That's the other thing, too. There's no competition. Like if a kid succeeds at a VTO camp, that's one of our clients, and VTO is essentially a direct competitor of yours with camps. I don't give a crap. I'm retweeting it. And you can say, you would never, but you could say to me, well, don't retweet that VTO.
I don't
Well,
care.
I'm gonna. Well, you don't, and I don't give a crap. I don't care about, Rivals 24/7 on three, whatever. I'll retweet anything. I don't give a crap. Like, why would I
They
care?
should be working with us. That's
What's
that's my.
that?
I said those guys should be working with us so we can help the kids that come to their stuff. It has nothing to do with like what we run event wise or
Nah,
someone else runs. But I'm just
I
saying.
know. But
I'm just saying.
that's a completely different business model. And I
Yeah.
understand the business model. I lived that business model forever. That's for the kids that don't need it.
No, I'm saying like
We
other
used to
camp
get,
stuff. I'm saying other camps like there are
oh,
camps
those.
for kids.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
well, you also know this business. I mean, it's extremely competitive. I mean, when I was at Rivals, we weren't allowed to ever even quote tweet, like, retweet, or comment on anything 24/7, period, at all.
You
If
were in
you
the
did it,
Soviet Union. You
yeah,
were
like let's say the Ohio State team site for 24/7, if they put out something, I would not allow to interact with it. I did it once. And then my Ohio State publisher complained to Rivals, and the people at Rivals, my bosses came down on me, and they're like, you can't do that. It's promoting their business. And 11 Warriors is another independent Ohio State site, and they actually picked up one of my articles on Rivals and promoted it. And so I retweeted it because they're giving me free publicity, and then I get yelled at for retweeting it. And I'm like, if an Ohio State fan doesn't know 11 Warriors exists, I don't know what to tell you. Just because our Ohio State site sucks and is like seventh in the market doesn't mean that I shouldn't be able to retweet that stuff. But I can never win that battle. So that's a different, and
Is
camps,
that
you know how it is.
independently
I mean,
owned, by the way? 11 Warriors, is that an
what's,
independent? Is that an independent?
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
that's an independent site. But also, I mean, the camp mentality has always been competing with each other, never
Right.
working together. When we joined Under Armour, when Under Armour became one of our sponsors for the camps, we would always, go head to head with Nike, and that was I just mentioned the Joe Mixon thing and the Nike camp, and that was our competition. And then when Under Armour left us and did their own camps, and we got with Adidas, then it was Under Armour versus ours versus Nike. Um, it was only till like the relationship that I had with Under Armour, there was a point where I would get on a call with them and say, what's your schedule? Here's our schedule. We want to avoid landing in LA on the same date because that just hurts the kids. It hurts our brands. It hurts everybody because you're getting half the good kids. We're getting half the goods. Let's work together. And that was very rare. And that was Billy Tucker at Under Armour, and who's a great guy and was, smart enough to understand that that's the way it works. But now, you see these camps. I mean, VTO, I love them to death. I mean, it's Vince Jacobs and his son now. The T and the O are gone, but I love those guys. But I
Oh,
worked
that
with
they were
you.
named after three people? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Vince, Terrence, and Otis.
Oh, okay.
And I got in business with them early with the VTO camps, and then Under Armour ended up sponsoring our camps, and they got tossed aside. And then they had a bunch of internal issues, and so Vince kept the business going with his son, Vince Jr., who was a four-star tight end and went to North Carolina. Um, but even there, like, I told him, I said, well, we could probably work out a promotion thing for you, and I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to work out a promotion because I'm not tied into anything. I'm going to work out a promotion deal with VTO and promote their camps, and I'm going to promote your camps and the ones that we work together, and that's the freedom of being independent. But I told him, I said, yeah, we should probably just all have a call and figure out a way that VTO and NUC can like work together and maximize everybody's ability to get kids to camps, and work as a business opportunity. But there's always, how it is. It's a cutthroat world and everybody thinks they're in competition. And I get why. I mean, they got really, really screwed.
Did they?
I mean,
Yeah.
the VTO camps were so amazing and they were so well run and we had it down. And then somebody came in from corporate, sold it to Under Armour, and just threw those guys aside like garbage. I mean, they got really screwed. Um, so I can see why they don't trust not me, but anybody
Yeah,
to
yeah.
work with. But yeah, so I mean, like I don't care if it's 24/7. I just retweet it. Now Brock's telling me something. I don't give a crap what you put out. If you're a client, I'm going to retweet it if it's, your video. So that, Marshall X is 6 month, right? We've done more than 6 months worth of stuff. And I kind of grandfathered him in as our parent liaison. You know, I said, if you're willing to talk to parents as your experience as a parent, but I haven't really taken advantage of that. I haven't really had him talk to a lot of parents. But I mean, this is extra. This is a retweet of a video that he has at a camp. I don't care. It doesn't cost me anything to retweet it, but it does cost money to put the videos together, to do the analysis, to continue to effort towards a scholarship for these kids. So that's why it costs money. But you pay for everything that's valuable in this world, and I think this is pretty valuable.
Well, you can't buy a Tesla with a handshake, so you're gonna need money. Uh, so if you want something good, it's although I don't know if
Oh, so
Tesla
but
their stock has been plummeting.
myfootballcamps.com. It's myfootballcamps.com/D1. Well, that's because, I mean, the guy in charge is a bit of a lunatic, right?
Although brilliant,
Well, they're self-driving cars too. I mean, I think that's awesome. But I saw a meme the other day of somebody said that, one of their hobbies is to drive around and find a Tesla and swerve at it just so that the artificial intelligence of the self-driving car, like, I don't know, just to mess with a self-driving car, which you wouldn't do that if somebody's in a car because it might kill you, right? But if somebody's in the back seat and you got a self-driving car, you swerve at it, the thing overcorrects, and I'm like, that doesn't sound very safe to me. But
Doesn't sound
people
safe.
don't like Tesla. Well, they don't like Tesla because it's a rich person's car, and it's a super billionaire who owns it, and that's the problem. And of course, people consider him a Trumper, and he owns Twitter now, and everything's political, man.
I like
Everything's
that he owns
freaking
Twitter.
political.
I like him on Twitter. He's
The only
helped in the
problem I have
market.
with Twitter is, God, freaking Twitter blue pisses me off. Just because now there's blue check marks if you buy them, so you get guys with like 30 followers of a blue check mark. So they kind of changed it now where it's a blue check mark, and there's a gold check mark for a business. You saw that? Like the NFL has a gold check mark.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, if you're a business, you'll have a gold check mark. So like, 24/7 Sports has a gold check mark. If you're an individual, you'll have a blue check mark. And then you have to hover over or click on the blue check mark to see what level of blue check mark you are. And it said, this is a legacy verified account. It may or may not be notable. And that's what they did to all the blue check mark people, which sucks because that's what I am. I'm a legacy verified account. But really, I'm a verified account. But people can get a blue check mark now by just subscribing to Twitter Blue, and it's hard for me to like. Sometimes I see somebody commenting on something, and I see a blue check mark, and I go back to what it used to be, and I'm like, oh, this guy's in the business, and it's some slappy with 20 followers, and he's got a blue check mark. I'm like, oh boy, that's not good. So anyhow,
He could charge a
but you got to
thousand.
monetize Twitter.
By the way,
He's gonna
he monetized Twitter. Yeah.
got to. How is Twitter not monetized? I mean, everybody uses Twitter. It's got to be. I know Facebook's still the number one social media platform, because the age variation from Facebook is high to very low. But Twitter is number two, I believe, ahead of Instagram. How do you not make money on this thing? How do you? I mean, everybody's on it every single day. I mean, last week, obviously, we haven't talked about the Damar Hamlin situation on Monday Night Football.
Right.
Twitter almost went down from that because everybody on earth went to Twitter to send prayers and condolences and talk
That was
about that
terrible.
situation. And again, like it's the most popular platform to me for anybody in the demographic age of 30 to 50, and yet they weren't making money. So Elon Musk will figure that out and make money off it, which is great, I think. Um,
Well, it'll make it
but
better, I
I don't
think,
even.
in the long run. If you
But
don't
I
have
don't even know
money
how we get
coming in,
on.
it's always purely a charity. Eventually, which is what happened to Twitter, is that some of the first of all the woke people took it over and were destroying it. But second of all, because there's no money in it, there's no incentive. Was no incentive for other people to go in and try to fix it until Elon went in there. At least now, if there's some money coming in, there'll be incentive for people to figure out ways to fix it. That's look, that's my whole thing is why I'm a capitalist is like, listen, is there negatives to capitalism? Sure. Is there crony capitalism? Sure. But you know what? If there isn't a profit incentive, then there is no money to give back to anybody. Like if people aren't making money, there's no money to give back. Now, and that's what communism and socialism is to me. It's like no, well, let me explain it. Those privileged people over there that are politically connected, they are getting benefits, but everybody else, you're stuck, and they're like, there's no way out of it, and there's no profit incentive, so there's no way to get unstuck. I mean, you have to have. Now, are there losers in a capitalist environment? Are there people that end up failing because of it? Yeah. But you know what? Then you go do something else and you get another opportunity. And there's nothing to ever stop you from going and getting the job. Like that's what I always say. Like, there's a place for everybody. You want to be a worker and work, you could do that. If you want to start your own thing and make it as big or as small as you want to make it, you can do that. Is there a guarantee that you will succeed? No. I love when corporate, and you were corporate obviously for a long time, right? You think, wow, I'm going, it's going great, and then all of a sudden someone makes some decision up there and decides, this is what your value is. It's like, you're determining what my value is. I've been putting all this time in for all this time, and you're telling me I'm only
Well,
valued at X. That's
well,
what
and it's
bothers
usually
me.
every time you get a new set of managers, they come in
Right,
and reassess your value, and they don't know anything about the product. They don't know anything about you or whatever. So I was lucky enough to sort of not survive, but I had manager after manager. After we were purchased by Yahoo, then we were purchased by Verizon, then we purchased by I can't even remember the last company what the name was, Apollo or something. And manager after manager comes in and they assess and then they look at this, that, and the other, and eventually it's going to catch up to you. If a company's like tight for cash, I was just looking at,
right,
at Rivals the other day, and they just lost their Iowa site. Tom Kakert has been running that Iowa site since I started there in the late '90s, and it's one of the biggest sites, top 10 site there, and it's got a great Iowa community. Gone. Went to On3 with Shannon Terry, of course, just like the Nebraska site and a lot of the other bigger sites. So, they're hurting for money, but when a company is already trying to trim down, money wise, they're going to look at the person that makes the most. And that's the person they're going to initially say, well, you got to make less. And then they're eventually going to say, well, we can't afford you anymore. And you're like,
be like,
like
what?
the only reason you're employed here is because this was made $1 million business by me.
Right,
And now, so that's the cycle of life, and that's the way life works, and it's fine. You just you adjust and revamp, and usually end up happier. But for Twitter, there's a lot of creators on Twitter that aren't being able to monetize their product. There's no way right now to monetize. I see you got super followers, super follows. How many super follower subscriptions do you have?
three. I have three.
Three. Okay. So that's worthless. Then the other one is these spaces.
Superpower.
You can
You
you
can
can you can
monetize
hold
Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces. You can monetize.
yeah, nobody's going to pay for Twitter Space. But I will tell you this, what Elon Musk will figure out is a way for influencers to monetize on Twitter, and he'll get 10% of that. So let's say he comes up with a way where you could charge, I don't know, the super followers is dumb, but let's say, there's a way to charge for this, that, and the other, and you as a creator like TikTok or like Instagram has reels and all that stuff, but they're lesser, than TikTok's the number one as far as monetizing your followers, and they changed the game. Instagram's number two, Facebook probably number three, and Twitter last. But if Elon Musk could figure out a way to get a guy like me with 156,000 followers, or a guy like you with 590,000 followers, or whatever, to monetize and give him 10% for doing nothing, he's going to figure that out, and that's important because that's going to make this a viable business. They have to do stuff like so. I guess they had to do Twitter Blue and charge. People get the blue check mark and they pay for that. That's fine. I'm not a big fan of his, but it's changed Twitter. Um, and we got on this discussion simply because of Tesla, and you can't get one of those for free, and they're not going to hand you the keys to it and all that stuff.
I want to read
Nothing's
this
free
something.
in life.
I want to talk
Go
to you
ahead.
about TCU, but I want to read something. I think you'll find this interesting. And this is where the social media platforms have a lot of them have. So YouTube, I'm going to read this to you, and you'll find this maybe mind blowing. So, so we've had a few 3 million view months, but this month we're at 1.3 million for YouTube views. Okay,
Oh, I forgot about YouTube. They're number two behind
they're
TikTok.
number two. You're right. So, and I'm at 39,000 subscribers. They're pretty good. It's not like my Twitter and the other ones, but it's pretty good. Um, so 1.3 million views. It makes you ready? Grand total of $119.87. So
You're rich.
yeah, you're rich. So let's say I 10x that. Like somehow I started getting viral videos left and right and 10x it. I'd make $1,000 for 10 million views. I mean, that's pennies.
It is nutty. And
It's
you know
not
what? The funny part about TikTok is TikTok originally, influencers were making and creators were making good money. And then what they did is they had you apply for the creator
fun. I had
status.
yeah.
Right. But when they put you in creator status, you go into a completely different algorithm. and it lowers your views. So they
Correct.
keep your money down. Yeah.
It
So
crushed
you're not
me.
gonna make money either way.
It
You know,
crushed me.
but I will tell you this, at least you have an opportunity to make 119 bucks on YouTube or make that amount of money on TikTok. Twitter,
Nothing.
there's no super followers, almost like a disadvantage because you got three people to sign up for that garbage. So now, in some way, in the back of your head, you have to somehow cater to three people. And why would you want to do that? And they cropped up, I forget what, and instead of the spaces, too, they have the communities. You could create a community. There's no way to
Stupid.
make money there. Elon Musk will figure out a way to make money on Twitter. So I'm
I
confident in
think
that, and that's going to
I
help.
think he cuts out. I think you should get rid of all that stuff. Get rid of super followers. Get rid of communities. You don't get rid of it. Get rid of the monetization capability. Get rid of the monetization on spaces. So people are trying to like make money in these tiny little things where they make nothing, and figure out one avenue first that can make people money. One avenue that a large amount of people can have a chance to make money at. And then you could create products off it. But what happened with Twitter is before Elon bought it, they started all these little desperation money things to get put because everyone else is trying to put money in creators' pockets. So like, we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this. They're trying all these different things. They all suck. No one subscribe. No one knows what to subscribe to. First of all, they don't know like
Right,
what is a super follower. What does that really get me? Extra content? Well, why would I pay for extra content?
right.
I mean,
Well,
it's
what he should do, honestly, and the thing that Twitter should do is just flat out make it a premium product. So you have to pay 2 cents a month to follow somebody. Your billed on your PayPal 2 cents. And nobody wants to deal in these micro numbers and all that stuff. I get it. But at 156,000 followers, if I had all 156,000 be willing to pay me 2 cents a month for my tweets and all that stuff, I would make $3,100 a month. You know, so I'd make like 36 grand from Twitter. Now, 2 cents doesn't matter to anybody. The issue would be obviously, do I want to give out my PayPal? And how do you get PayPal in those places to charge somebody 2 cents? And so, but really, I think the micro follow fee is going to be where he makes money because at 156,000, like LeBron's got what, 80 million, you know, times 2 cents. That's going to be a good lucrative business for him. And it's going to make him want to tweet more because the two centers are going to want to pay that 2 cents and he's going to want to add followers that will pay 2 cents. So that's probably the way to monetize it. Now, I'm not a businessman. I have no idea whether that would work or not. I just know that something needs to be changed there. It's not my problem. It's not my issue. Um, and we've only got 12 minutes, so I want to talk about the national
yeah.
championship
Let's
game.
talk about
That's
it.
my problem.
Let's
That's
get
my
into
issue.
it.
So I think it's a 13-point spread. Um, I'm definitely taking. I got to see if the spread has been updated. I'm definitely taking TCU to cover. I don't think they're going to win. I don't know what the status of Henry Miller is for TCU, which is extremely important for them. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. Um, I do know that TCU is the team that I've sort of doubted all season long, and they've always sort of made me regret that. And I think they're a special football team with a unified goal to play the underdog role and keep this game close. I think Georgia's just going to beat them with talent and depth. But I think this is going to be a one-score football game, 6 or 3 points.
So you think Georgia's going to be in with talent? I think Georgia has the if they pound them and they come right at them. I think TCU's really going to have a hard time. Just judging, I don't know why they didn't really do it last time, but
That's what
I,
Michigan tried to do, though.
yeah, and didn't
Remember?
work. But is Michigan without Blake? I mean, the other guy's great, but he's not. Blake Corum had shiftiness to him. I don't
Uh,
know if Michigan, even though as good as they are, their guys are really good, but are they the caliber of the Georgia guys? And then,
Well, the offensive line won the Joe Moore 2 years in a row, and is one
okay,
of the best offensive lines in the country. And that 3-3-5 that we've talked about here for TCU, it requires a lot of shifting, a lot of movement, a lot of linebackers making plays in space. And you don't think they could hold up to a strong, powerful team that's going to wear them down, and they just always do. So I get your point that Georgia's loaded up front. Um, they're a strong running team. They can overpower this team, but I just worry that Michigan tried to do that and it didn't work.
So you think TCU is gonna be able to?
Hold up. I don't think they're going to win. Georgia's
What
going to win.
what score do you think it's gonna be?
I think it's a 6 point game. So I think it's going to be in the range of like 30 to 24.
I think this is
That's
a
my guess.
game that if TCU stays around and stays on top in the first half, they have a chance. I think if Georgia does come out and start to like get up by 14 or 21 or something crazy like 14 points and they don't respond, I think TCU could have a hard time, even though they're the comeback kings this year.
They are.
They are the comeback kings, but I don't know. Every time I see Georgia, I just think like Georgia and Alabama to me, I'm always surprised when a team's been in a game with them. Just because I feel like when I see their guys do things that they're doing things that other teams have a hard time with. But I have to say, like, Ohio State should have won that game. So, like if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't go down, they just that injury alone, they win the game,
Mhm.
in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm going with Georgia. I think Georgia's gonna win. I'm rooting for TCU.
Yeah, I'm rooting for TCU too because I think the story, Cinderella story is fun. And, listen, we had our Cinderella story last year with Stetson Bennett and, a former walk-on to national championship quarterback, and he could do it twice in a row. And then there has been a repeat since 2011. So it'd be a great story for Georgia to win, and I fully expect them to win, but I'll be rooting for TCU. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to see this again. I don't think we're going to see a team go from 5-7. I know with the portal it's possible, but not at TCU level. Like at USC, went from 4-8 last year to 10 wins this season. Um, I think you could do that in a big time program, but I don't think you can do it at a TCU level. So I would like to see them finish this. I think it would probably be the biggest Cinderella national champion in a very long time, maybe since what, BYU
Def
100 years ago?
and then BYU win, wasn't it like I don't know. They played like in the Holiday Bowl or something like that, and
Yeah, I think they won. They were undefeated. It was like I think it was the 80s. It's been that long. So when you look at the winners, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, um, Auburn, uh, it even, to the traditional winners like Texas won, Oklahoma won, um, years ago, Tennessee, Michigan, Nebraska, all those teams are like power teams. I can't remember the last team that wasn't a power team. Maybe Colorado
mm,
when they won, or Georgia Tech when they split. Both of those teams split national championships, and they weren't like power blue bloods. So if TCU wins, I think it's going to be the biggest non-blue blood victory in 20 years. Um, and it would be fun to watch. I think they match up okay. I was worried about Michigan, being able to run through them. In the first play of the Michigan game was like a 50-something yard run, and I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know if they can hang. And they hung. So Georgia's a very similar team to Michigan. JJ McCarthy and Stetson Bennett are both talented. JJ McCarthy has more upside. Stetson Bennett has been very, very effective. Didn't have a great game against Ohio State, but enough to win. Um, you know, both have similar wide receiver cores. They're not great. They're good. Brock Bowers is the X factor for them offensively. Defensively, really good team, runs to the ball, good secondary, great front. That's where TCU could be in trouble, is trying to move the ball against that UGA offense without passing the ball like Ohio State did. They're going to try to run, and Duggan's going to try to do what Dugan's going to try to do with his feet. They might get stuff there, and that's where it could get ugly if they do. But if they can move the ball and stay with this team, offensively, into the fourth quarter, it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very exciting to have a situation like this. This is what they've hoped would happen at some point with the CFP. Like the pundits are like, well, we don't need a playoff. Look how we got it to this point this time. I still would like to see. I don't know. I feel like I'd like to see 8, but
Well, there's
um,
going to be 12, and maybe that'll keep this alive.
is
Maybe
that
you'll
when is
see
12
like
going to place? When does that go in?
like 2025, I
Okay,
think.
I didn't
Which would,
realize.
that might be a situation where, the third team from the Big Ten, like a Wisconsin or somebody like that gets in and runs the table surprisingly, you know. But when it's four or when it's two, like the BCS used to be, this is unheard of. It's just completely unheard of. So it's great for the sport. I'll be watching tonight. Then college football's over. Then we got, recruiting and the portal. Then we go into the spring, and then we get the summer, and then, we got to wait. So this is kind of, for me, sports wise, it goes from tonight into the NFL playoffs, and then it's just the Masters. I got to wait for the Masters because it's just from early February Super Bowl to March Masters. It's just the most depressing 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's nothing. I mean, it's NBA. Who cares? College basketball, March Madness. You have to wait for that. February is a really difficult time when it comes to sports. So enjoy this one tonight. And again, you're going to watch this tomorrow, and you'll be like, "Oh, these guys are idiots." If Georgia wins 40-10, but heading into this game, I mean, it looks 13 is a lot. Now, this is also the thing in gambling. I do a gambling podcast every weekend.
Oh, you do?
Um, when you see a line like that, that to me is a little bit too high. I wouldn't lay my own personal line just would be like 9. So when you see it that high, somebody in Vegas knows something, and you should do the opposite of what you think. You see 13, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take TCU. 13's too much. Sometimes in the gambler's mind, you do the opposite. You say somebody knows something. This line's way too high. That's why I think this could be a Georgia blowout with that
Mm,
13 line.
yeah, sure.
But on the just matchup wise, I think it's probably closer to a 6 to 9 point game. So we'll see. But I got a quick out at 1:30. So it's myfootballcamps.com/D1.
Right
What's the
there.
portal one?
My
What's the
this
portal
is
one?
this slash D1 is the regular slash D1. I'll pull it up on the screen below here. You can see it. Slash D1 hyphen transfer. Slash D1 hyphen transfer. Maybe we should change that to just transfer.
Yeah, probably. It's probably rolls off the tongue a little better, like it's myfootballcamps.com/D1 and then myfootballcamps.com/transfer. Yeah, I think it should be changed for sure. And excited about a new transfer portal client, and we got another one. I'll give him a shout out, Andres Fox from Stanford. He hasn't signed up yet. He's been sort of on the fence. He's a good looking player. He wants to land Power Five. He's a Stanford kid. He's smart. We'll see how things shake out for him. But we got our guy Manziel, the guy from Mercer, our offensive lineman from
Yes.
Mercer.
Yep.
Um, you know, 6'3", 285, 6'10" wingspan, 2 years of eligibility left. Gonna get his promo done this week. Long kid. I mean, I watched this film. Long. That wingspan is legit, and he's got a good frame. He looks taller than 6'3". He looks very angular, very athletic. So I think he's going to be an exciting one. He's just nobody really knows about him. He's from South Carolina. Ended up at Mercer. So he's one that I'm excited to start promoting. And we'll get more of the portal ones. Like I said, the portal, now that you see this rash of commitments, there were probably another 50 commitments this weekend. It's going to slow down now because the fall, I mean, the spring semester is starting for schools. So they're all taking these kids in time to get in for the spring. Now that the spring semester has kind of started this week, the commitments are going to slow down precipitously, and that's going to be more opportunities for the kids that don't have a lot of attention. So now's a good time to sign up for the the portal feed, especially if you're panicking and you're seeing all these other kids commit.
No doubt about it. All right, we'll close it out here. Listen, enjoy the game tonight. I'm excited about it. You're right. It'll be depressing after this. Super Bowl, you got Super Bowl, and then the NFL playoffs will keep you on the loop for 4 weeks, and then nothing
It's
till
nothing.
March
But
Madness.
we got the playoffs. I mean, the playoffs are going to be awesome this weekend. We got a ton of games Saturday, Sunday, Monday night. The NFL playoffs will keep us busy. Signing day in the portal. It's just after the Super Bowl that's when things get bleak. But then, listen, there was a golf tournament in Hawaii I watched this weekend. It gave me hope of life. It was beautiful in Hawaii. It was gorgeous. It was sunny. These guys striking the ball 360 yards in their drives, and just depressing in a way, but also fun to see. Once the Masters commercials start coming around, once pitchers and catchers report, you start to see a little bit of life, and you can start to focus on the spring. Because right now we're in the dregs of 26 degrees here in Connecticut. It's going to be dark at 4:30. Rough time. So, all right, man. I'll
All
talk to
right,
you next week.
we're off. See you